Up next, we got a bunch of new jig colors. We have to go through them all, but maybe just talk about some of the new colors and some of the maybe ones you liked about. I know there's one that I think you had some design in the color itself, right?
Yeah, in the rubber jig, the black, brown, and I don't know what he called it, pumpkin. I call it amber, but it's kind of a lighter color mixed in the black and brown. That's a color that I've been throwing since I was 10 years old in a jig. That's like my staple color in jigs because to me it's natural enough for any color water. I mean, you could throw it in crystal clear. I've caught them up north on that color. In some of those lakes, you can see the bottom in 15, 20 foot. Yet it's got that darker profile as well to where when it does get muddy and stained, it still stands out enough in the dirtier water. If I could have one jig tied on for 12 months a year, it's gonna be that color in a jig. And that rubber jig, the rubber is a little different profile that's awesome for especially colder water. I like to throw rubber specifically when you're talking water under 60 degrees because it falls a little slower. It just moves a little slower, kind of like everything does when it's cold, you know. So that rubber jig's awesome. And then that color is just, it's just an all-around color. I mean, I don't think you can find a watercolor where it's inappropriate.
Very nice. And there's some new kind of swim jig colors too, some shaddy colors. A new, I think it's called Shad Spawn. It's kind of a cool looking one. I think Daniel's got there.
Yeah,
to show off.
this one here we're gonna show off is Shin's Chibi Jig, swim jig. It's this guy right here.
Yeah. So in Shin's Chibi Jig, which is basically, I think Chibi actually means small. So it's just kind of a finesse swim jig. That Shad Spawn color to me is cool because when you're throwing a white swim jig, a lot of times you are throwing, it's called Shad Spawn. Let's just say you're throwing it around the Shad Spawn. You want to match the shad, but you don't want to just look like every single shad out there. So that one's got some brighter, like some gold and some lighter yellow colors and things like that in it to kind of differentiate it from the other shad and to make fish key in on it rather than every other shad in the lake. So that's a cool color. And that finesse swim jig's an awesome jig, gets more bites, is good for clear water, and gets more bites than maybe a big profile, thick weed guard, heavy hook jig would get. And that Shad Spawn will definitely stand it apart too.
Very nice. It looks like also in the standard swim jig, there's some new colors. The Shad Spawn's one of them. Looks like an Alabama craw, a green pumpkin smoke, a midnight magic, smoky shad, and a sprayed grass. And those are going to be available in their standard swim jig. That standard one, just a more, I guess, less finesse swim jig itself. Is there any of those colors you excited about, and where do you utilize this jig maybe over Shin's jig a little bit?
Yeah, so the standard swim jig, it's probably like my staple. I throw Shins more in like clear water situations, like that Shad Spawn under, like, let's say deeper docks or, clear water. And the standard I throw around, I guess, more like my area, like just fishing the bank, swimming a jig. And I like any of, like, the sprayed grass is a great color for, let's say you're throwing a swim jig when fish are eating bluegills up shallow, that's a really good color.
Sprayed grass.
To imitate shell crackers, bluegills, red ear sunfish. It's just a swim jig to me is you're throwing shallow. You're either throwing a white like a Shad Spawn around fish up eating shad on a Shad Spawn, or you're throwing a bluegill type color often around brim beds or docks, things like that. So that's a good option in that jig.
Very nice. So again, a lot of cool colors. Hopefully by the time you guys watch this video, we'll have them up available for pre-order. We literally just got these samples in yesterday, just in time for the video. So we haven't had them set up the imaging yet. But hopefully by the time we get this video up, you guys will be able to check them out. If not, check back very soon, and we'll have the new swim jigs available in stock.